Hello. That's us, eh? Anywhere, take your pick, but don't make the pregnant ladies sit on the... Yeah, sad. Watch out. Fight. Oh, yeah, a little bit all the way at the back there. Awesome. It's really awesome to have Hohepa and also Jonique. Am I saying your name right, Kare? Jonique, yep. Join us up here this afternoon for our last kōrero. And we're actually going to record this one. So you'll see the cameras, the girls have set the cameras up, and we're going to use the microphone just for the purpose of recording, but also not shouting. Which is going to be choice. So just general kōrero about a business with these three amazing Māori-owned brands that are making waves in Aotearoa. So same sort of thing, we'll just enjoy the kōrero and we'll have opportunity for pātai at the end as well. So we'll crack into it, eh? You guys ready for ya? Ready to go? All right, we're all on. So we'll start off, we'll give, obviously everyone's met Aroha already earlier from the panel, and we'll give Hohepa of The Hori and Jonique a bit of opportunity to introduce themselves. So why don't you go first? Here you go.
Oh, okay.
Just for the recording, we know you got a big waha.
Kia ora. Kia ora tātou. He uri nei o Ngāti Kahungunu ki Wairarapa. Me kaitahu, me Ngāti Tōrangatira, and I ko Hohepa Tuku Ingoa. And I'm Hori, or Hori. That's my partner hiding somewhere, Mia. And yeah, we have the Hori Gallery studio in Otaki. So that's where we hail from. And I started this in 10 years ago, in 2012. And yeah, that's how long. I feel like an old man now in this business, but got plenty more left in me. Yeah.
Ka pai. Kia ora e hoa. Lovely to have you here. Your turn, Kare, why don't you introduce yourself?
Tēnā tātou. Is this working? He uri tēnei no Ngāti Porou, and I started Waiapu Road. Oh, it'll be turning 2 next month. Yeah, haven't been in the game that long, but I'm a mama, I'm a wife, and a business owner and a counsellor at a kura kaupapa Māori. Yeah, that's all really about me.
Yeah, choice. We'll dig into it a bit more too as we go. And Aroha, did you want to introduce yourself again, or anything else you want to share with the whānau? Otherwise, I can ask you the first question. Little water, maybe.
Introduce myself.
Do a little reel for us.
No, I'm good.
Lip sync.
Stop putting me on the spot like that.
Sorry, Kare. So first question, we're going to ask the question across the board. But what does success in business look like for you? What does a successful business mean for Aroha or Maimoa?
Success for me is providing value for like a niche or a community, while also supporting or providing financial freedom for my whānau, all while doing something that I'm super passionate about. So that to me is what success is in business.
Awesome. We're going to ask that question across to everyone.
I think success for me is being Māori in business, while also inspiring. Well, because I work with rangatahi, and so it's really important for me to find ways to help inspire rangatahi where I can, and also the same financial freedom for my whānau. Yeah.
Awesome. How about you, Ehoa?
I had a bit longer to think about it. I don't know. I just thought about my mate Jackson, and he was always a real entrepreneur. He was one of my surfing mates, and he'd always say, "Hori, if you're not living on the edge, bro, you're taking up too much space." And I think when I think about what we tried to do with our kaupapa is to do both. So to kind of, we live on those kind of edges, but we, as a Māori kaupapa, we also try to take space. And that's kind of, when we're successful in doing our mahi, it's about doing that. It's about pushing our kaupapa out further. it's always, that's how I don't see it for the money side of it. I never did. So I was so poor for so very long. But yeah, that just comes with it. But yeah, it's more about, for me, it's about that kaupapa and just keep pushing those boundaries, I suppose.
Yeah, beautiful. I love asking that question, especially to Māori in business, because you never ever hear them say it's about being a millionaire, about being a billionaire. It's never driven by the profit. The profit's there, but it's not the main reason how people get into business. And I think as a business owner, to know what success looks like to you is so important, because it will help you in your direction and your decision making, and the way that you do what you do. So next question, we'll start with you. You have a little bit of time to think this time. Share with us like one or two of your biggest failures and what you learnt from that. 10 years, there'll be a lot in there, but maybe the recent ones if you want.
Fuck. There's so many. Oh, man. Probably in the beginning, was thinking that I could do it all by myself. So that was a major one. I was like, I just started off, I can do this with just all my surfing mates and snowboard mates, and then it started to go further, and then more people started to order stuff, and then I had a website, and more people started to order stuff, and it was just me with this little side gig, and I got lost in all of it. Yeah, and I pretty much was like, oh wait, I actually need some help here. So yeah, then it started. Yeah,
then you married Mia, and she sorted it out.
And then she sussed everything out. But I'm not gonna lie, that was a major. When Mia came in, I wanted to get out of the clothing stuff, and she was more of the fashion designer. I just wanted to go back to doing the art. That's where my kind of stuff lied. And so when Mia came in, the clothing was like our bread and butter, and I didn't really even think like that. I just wanted to do the artwork and the cool shit. So when she came in and was like, right, this is actually how it's going to go, this is how I think, that was massive for me. And yeah, so that was kind of 3 years after I started the Hori label. I was like, I realised we're in a real fashion, like high-end fashion. I don't know how the fuck I ended up there. I started with like T-shirts and stuff, and then next minute I'm at like New Zealand Fashion Week doing like high-end like streetwear to like really. When Mia came on, we did like silks and like these beautiful like, people had to spend like a couple grand on a dress to buy it. Like it was quite a high-end thing, and I was like, fuck. And it just wasn't it wasn't me. I was like, so we dialed it back a bit. We dialed it back heaps, and it was actually the best decision we ever did, was to go, actually take it back to just the things that worked. And, so basically, Mia saved the day.
Yes.
For us.
Yeah. Wahine Māori always fix it up, eh? Ka pai. How about you, Jonique? Share with us one of your biggest failures and what you learnt from it.
Mine is similar. It was thinking that I could do everything. And because me and my husband work across a lot of different kaupapa, like he's in council, we had a barbershop, then we had Waiapu Road, and then our kids, I thought I could do all of it, and I burnt out really quickly. And so it was about, I think, setting boundaries for myself, because I just thought, oh, well, we always go, we can manage. But as Waiapu Road grew, it grew beyond the capacity that I thought it would at the time. And so it was really, I really burnt out quickly. So it was about setting boundaries and, just like reining it in a bit and focusing on just what I can do and getting help for the things that I couldn't do, which has been a game changer for us. Yeah.
So what do those boundaries look like for you now?
They look like giving myself a time to finish mahi. Otherwise, I'll just go. There were times that I was going all the way into like 2, 3 o'clock in the morning every day because there was no one else to pack my orders. It was me or no one, you know. So it was giving myself a schedule to start and finish mahi, and then also making sure that I'm giving enough time, firstly to my whānau, to my babies. But yeah, the main boundary setting was for myself, and putting little things in like, you know, if people have questions, they have to email Waiapu Road, or they have to, you know, little boundaries like that. Otherwise, it was too much for me. But yeah.
Yeah, awesome. And I've seen that on your socials, inquiries by email only, and it's those little things that can help you. Yeah. Hey, Jazz, we were talking about that earlier. Help you control it. Ka pai. How about you, Aroha?
Yeah, my answer was actually the same thing, but I'll think of something else that I don't know if I'd call it a failure, but it's definitely like a weakness. But it was when I started out, and I just, because I was so passionate about what I was putting out into the world, I just assumed everyone else would love it too. Which that's just me being an optimist. So it's a weakness, but it's also a strength. But yeah, when I launched, I was like, oh, I hope I have enough products. And yeah, and then launch day came and it was like crickets. And I was like, oh, okay. So yeah, it doesn't work like that. I mean, it might for some people, but it didn't for me. So I'm being real honest, but it was, yeah, trying to figure out, okay, I love my products. How can I tell my story and show other people or convince them that, yeah, my products are awesome. You'll love them too. And not just buying into the products, but into my kaupapa. Yeah, so I had to figure that out pretty fast.
You ended up selling them though?
Eventually, yeah. It took a while. It takes time. I think I was just so optimistic that I was like, yeah, this shouldn't take too long. But for some businesses, yeah, it's the real grind. That first year is tough.
It is I always like listening to people's failures. I don't know if I'm sadistic, but I find them more inspiring than the wins sometimes, because it just humanizes the experience and helps you realize that you're not alone. And those demoralizing moments, we all have them, and it's the fortitude to get through them. And I love listening to how people handle that. It gives me the energy to go again. So I'm going to take some boundaries on board. But since you got the mic, we'll start with you this time, Aroha. So what do you love the most about running a business?
Yeah, being my own boss and setting my own rules. There's no rules, honestly. Like when you own your own business, you can do whatever you want, which is terrifying because when you've never been in business, you have no idea what you're doing. But yeah, I love it. I love the challenge of setting my own rules, and if I don't align with something, then I scrap it. Or if there's a product that doesn't work out, scrap it. I love that I can follow my wairua a lot. Well, I pretty much always, that's how I do life, and that's what I transfer into my pakihi is, yeah, if it aligns with me and if it feels right, then I say yes, and I love that I have that freedom to do that as the owner.
No bosses, eh? What about you, Hori?
Yeah. We always, I had some pretty amazing mentors kind of going through this, and it was always about the mana mutu hake and that dream of having it. And for me, we were a tiny little shop in Otaki, and we were the only shop there that didn't have hours on the door, and people couldn't fucking stand it. They're so locked into and it wasn't just the people that were coming to shop, it was like the shops that were around us. They hated it. Yeah, they just like, what do you mean? And I was just like, well, we just decolonized our hours and we come in whenever we want. And no one could get it, eh? They were just like, well, fuck, we've got kids. We don't have to open. We're just, like me and Mia would just have to, like, fuck it, let's just go to the beach. And we're like, yeah, sweet. And you get, people messaging you, we're at the door, but we're like, oh, fuck, sorry. But now it's interesting because we've moved our studio to our home, and it's, we've got our cafe and our studio all at the beach now. So everyone knows that we're home because we live in the back. So, but it's cool. It's that whole kind of thing of, mana motuhake is about everyone. It's, it's about your community. It's everyone. It's not just solely about you. And we're lucky enough in our taone that, it's like that kind of community. Like they all like hang out at our house. But again, like you, it's setting those boundaries, and we have sometimes those boundaries get really crossed, and we end up some random in our house. But we're trying. We're like, bro, you're not supposed to be in here. Eh? But we'll get it. We're clicking there. We're getting there. But I just wafted off. That's kind of what. Yeah, you get to do whatever the fuck you like, and that's and I think from working in other jobs where you have to put up with someone constantly telling you to do shit, and I'm not that person. Me is probably gonna laugh now, but I just like, oh well, get to do whatever, whenever. Yep.
I really love the freedom to create, and it's the same kind of thing. Like you can do whatever you want to do. You can not like. If you don't like something, you don't have to do it. But I love the freedom to create. And there's something really, well, for me anyway, there's something quite therapeutic and healing about being able to put your love and your wairua into something and bring it to fruition. So that's something that I really, really enjoy. And I enjoy, the same thing, like I'm the boss. And because it was my husband that had the business before Waiapu Road, like his own business, and I was always in the background of his, helping him, but it was never mine. And so to come into Waiapu Road and it be mine was something new, but something really exciting, and I love that. Yeah,
that's beautiful, man. You can tell entrepreneurs hate being told what to do by anyone else. I'm the same. I was useless at work because I just was always arguing with my boss. Anyway. Next question, we'll start with you, Jonique. What has been most challenging for you, and how have you overcome that?
Balance. It's kind of like the same thing as like setting boundaries. It's a fine act balancing your life, especially when you got whānau. We've got 3, soon to be 4 kids, and trying to fit everything in and make sure. I really struggle because sometimes I have to mahi longer than I can spend time with my whānau, and I feel guilty. So it's really trying to find the way to balance everything. So that's what I found the hardest, and I think will be a constant struggle, because I always want to be an owner that's involved in everything that Waiapu Road is doing. I never want to step back, but I don't know how I could. I'm still trying to figure it out. But balance for me. Yeah.
Ka pai. Over to you, Aroha. Challenges.
Balance was probably the biggest one. But just to add to that, I think valuing my time and my resources and the knowledge that I have. Like, we all have, particular skill set or something to offer. And learning to value that or even monetize it without feeling guilty. So for so long I would happily share stuff for free, which I was just so passionate about it that I'm totally kei te pai doing that. But kind of getting to a point realizing, am I still being able to provide for my whānau by doing this? Or am I just doing it because I'm passionate about it and I want to share it? And trying to, shift to a more business-like mind and being like, well, how can I monetize this so that, yes, I can still do what I love, but value my time, and that's been a real struggle because, sometimes you get real whakamā, you're like, because it's not about the money for me, it never was, but I'm like, I still have a mortgage to pay, I still have a whānau to provide for, and valuing that, but not making it the forefront, so it's not like you're straight up just asking for people's money, but saying, hey, if you value what I'm sharing, you know, like, come halfway sort of thing. Yeah, so that's probably been one of the biggest challenges.
Yeah, that's such a good point. How many of us struggle to put a value on our time, our resources, our investments that we've done to get to where we are? It's a real common, eh? How about you? I'm sure you got some choice ones to share with us.
For me was taking heat from my own people. That was massive, because some of the kaupapa that we deal with is, I'm not shy to kind of put some of my whakaaro out there, with it pieces of art. And in the beginning, it was hard to take the brunt from not only like our own people, but like my whānau. So like, on some different pieces that we did, that may have looked of kind of colonial ideas that might be entrenched within our own culture, that some of our own people don't actually realise. So especially living in Otaki, which, is a lot like Rotorua and those towns, it's pretty hearty. So when you're having these kōrero, you don't rack up, you rack up your own people, because they start questioning bits and pieces about what their tikanga and their kawa is. That was a real challenge for me to be able to stand there and take that, especially from kind of kaumatua, that were like, who the fuck is this guy? And I was just like, wow, here's my whakaaro, this is where I'm coming from, whether it was a piece of art, and then having to take that back. And as an artist, you just had, especially in my kind of mahi, I just had to learn how to take that on the chin. Now though, kind of, I think 10 years after the first kind of collections that I brought out, I'm very much aware, and I'm quite like our kaupapa and the foundations that I stand on. I've got more. I think I've got more. I definitely have more kind of mana to be like, nah, fuck you. This is seriously what I believe. Like, have you ever thought about this? Like, and try and offer comparisons to what they kind of can see. Back then I was probably a little bit more whakamā, and in that kind of, tuakana taina, like kaumatua, pepe, like you just, in a town like that, some of you guys might have grown up in them. It's like what your kuia and your koro said, you never went back on that, even though that what they might have said could have been not the go, or the tahi. You just kind of like, yep, sweet. But yeah, when you have a kind of haututu like myself, that starts to kind of question that. That was the biggest challenge in the business, well, in what I do. Yeah.
Building the Hori empire, eh?
Well, yeah, whatever that looks like. But yeah, that was massive for me.
And you can see it, I think, like in the kaupapa that you're taking on now, and the confidence and the boldness you walk in. Whether you follow the mahi that Hori does or not, he's taking on really big issues in a really bold way, and putting himself out there for all those hits to come. But it doesn't look like it phases you. I'm sure it does in some way, and hope that as whānau we could be here to support you even lift you up in that space. But yeah, it's mean to see. It's mean to see the scale that you can influence now after all those hits, eh? And you kind of got to go through that journey, thicken your skin up a bit, and all of that. But I love just to take a moment, I love the story of how your brand name came about. Do you want to share that with everyone, where the Hori came from?
So I, grew up I was a kohanga kura kid, and then I went to a secondary school that was a Pākehā school, and I was like kind of one of 3 Māori in my boarding form, and I knocked my front teeth out. I got it. And because my name was Hohepa, that automatically was like, fuck, you look Hori, bro, like, and that name stuck with me. and I fucking hated that name so much. So yeah, for many years I kind of just hated it, and then it's about kind of reclaiming that kupu, kino, that kind of derogatory term, and with it, because it's a challenging name in itself, is offering that wero to other people, and kind of spinning that. That's why the R in it is spun. I actually have to take some influence there from Korn. It was a band back in the 90s. You babies might not remember, but they were fucking awesome. But yeah, so that was the whole whakaaro, was to spin, turn the narrative, and that's the kind of whakaaro, is that switch that narrative round, and then, you know, throw that wero at whoever's looking at it, and yeah, that's kind of, but to do quite positive, challenging mahi with it, with that ingoa that I hated so much. So yeah, now I kind of own it, and yeah,
personify it, eh? Love that. Beautiful. All right, we'll come back over to the wahine on this side. Next question. We've got 2 more questions, and then we're coming out to you guys. So, what are you most proud of from your business journey?
Oh, that's easy for me. It's the name. Yeah. It's Waiapu Road. It's you guys probably know Waiapu Road as 35, like 35 the song. That's Waiapu Road. And so I grew up on that road. That's where our homestead is. That's home for me. And so to hear and see Waiapu Road everywhere, overseas, that's like, that makes my heart so happy. So that's what I'm most proud of. Yeah, is putting my little, like our homestead's a shack. Like, it doesn't, you know. But I have the most fond memories. Like, best time of my life was on that strip of road, and so yeah, to see that everywhere is massive for me. Yeah.
How have people like reacted to Waiapu Road as taking it on as a brand name? Have people been supportive?
Yeah, I've not had any. I've never had any like raru from anyone. Everyone's loved it, really. Everyone on the coast, I haven't had anyone be upset about it, and if anything, they're more proud.
Yeah, probably wish they thought of it first. Though.
Yeah, because I didn't know what my name was going to be when I started it out, and then one day it just clicked, and I said to my mum, I'm going to name my Pakihi Waiapu Road, and that was it. So yeah, that
beautiful.
Yeah.
Ka What are you most proud of, Aroha?
Yeah, mine's probably similar to Jonique in the sense that it has nothing to do with the products themselves, but I'm really proud of the community that I've created on my Instagram, especially. Just the amount of feedback I get from followers who share their stories, and how them being connected to what I share online has really helped them on their journey. And I'm like, that's worthy of being proud of, you know, like being a part of someone else's journey and knowing that I've made a difference for them. Like the amount of people that have messaged saying, you're the reason I went and signed up to a class. I'm like, those are my most favorite messages to receive. They make my day. So I'm proud of that community that I've created organically.
Since we're kind of a little bit on this topic, why don't you share a little bit about what it's been like for you having a Māori kaupapa in your business, and the amount of challenges that you've had from other Māori in the products that you create. What's that been like? Maybe a little bit tell people the story behind it, and then what it's been like for you.
Yeah, so the story of how it started.
Because you get a lot of people that challenge, like when you use whakatauki, right? And
yeah, or to
like
be
that,
fair, similar to what Hori was saying about, you'll get people, your own people challenge you. I take, there's a lot of weight to that when I hear criticism or feedback from Māori, because to me, I'm like, that's a really big responsibility. I'm not just representing my brand, I'm representing my culture and my tupuna, so I don't take that lightly. But it hasn't actually happened often. If anything, the most slack I've gotten is from Pākehā that just aren't a fan of Te Reo Māori being shared. But it's the people that they'll find me through Reels, because Reels get shown to just random people. So the people that don't follow me, so like, who's this chick? speaking to Te Reo Māori in my face, I don't want to watch this, and they'll take time to leave a message. I'm like, just stop, just don't watch it. Yeah, but those ones are really easy to ignore because I'm like, well, I don't care about you. Like, I don't really care about their opinion. But yeah, if Māori hit me up in a respectful manner, then I really listen because I respect what, their perspectives have. Even if I may not agree, it's helped me grow and actually be like, oh, actually, you do have a point. Maybe I should change the way I share things or the kind of products that I make. Yeah.
That's awesome. It's awesome, that humility as well. Sometimes just got to suck it up, admit that you did something wrong and learn from it. Kapai, what are you most proud of, Hori?
Fucking proud of me. That'd be a Snoop Dogg here, but proud of Mia and what we've done. Yeah. Nah, it was, fuck, yeah. I wouldn't in a million years thought I'd be able to do what I get to do. And getting paid is just a part of it. But, for artists, and I'm pretty proud of all the kind of artists that make that jump to go from, an artist that are doing your mahi and keeping it to yourself or whatever, and then they make that step to put it out onto and let everyone have a go at it. Yeah, especially Māori artists that are, there's so many. There's one that's sitting across over there I just saw, and I didn't even know it's there, but it's just, all of those artists that are just going out and going, you know what, fuck, this is, it's kind of make or break, or that's kind of where I was. I was teaching art and design. I was a kind of design teacher at school and realised that I had no patience for kids. I love my kids, but 100 other people's kids, I knew I kind of was like, fuck, I'm so over this. So when we decided, me and Mia were like, we're going Hundi. This is us. I'm pretty proud of what we did. We constantly talk about the cheese years, but we had to give up so much, move in with my parents, with all of our kids, just to open the shop and, working just shit jobs just to, and then when we finally were like, okay, this is it. This is just us from now on. To all artists that kind of make that jump, it's a hard thing to do. I've been luckier than many. But yeah, I'm pretty proud of that part of the journey. Yeah.
I love that. And man, how many of those stories do we have, right, of all the things that you have to give up in order to... I remember my first year in business, I went into self-employment in October, and that summer was my first summer of having where you get no work because no one in Aotearoa does anything, and you get no invoices paid, and you go kind of 2 months with no income. I learned all the ways to cook one cabbage. Tell you what, I never went back that broke again after that. I learned my lesson. Plan for summer. Anyway, last question, and then we're coming out to you guys. Who are your key influencers or mentors? Who do you look up to or follow, or have played a really big part in your business or your products and stuff like that?
Pretty much any business that is strongly values based. I just really look up to anyone that has a really strong kaupapa that they bring it back to. So everyone's sitting up here. Another one that I'd like to mention is Aho Creative. I really admire how they do business. They break the mold. They don't do, there's lots of industry standards for certain businesses and, ways to make money the fastest or easiest way. But businesses that put their values first regardless, I really admire. So I follow them and take a lot of inspiration from them.
Awesome. How about you, Jonique?
It's my grandparents. and they've got no experience in business at all. But what I see in them is a lot the same. It's the values, and they remind me constantly. They just keep me grounded in everything that I do, and so they're like my life mentors. And even though they don't have businesses, they keep me on track when I run my Pakihi. So they keep me grounded, and they keep my values in place. And so if I know that I'm always following them, I know that I'm on the right, I'm on the right track kind of thing. And then it's other business owners. And I really love the community, the Māori community of businesses. It's like really tight knit, and everyone supports each other, and we can go to each other for support, and I love that. But yeah, my grandparents and other businesses. Yeah.
Where does your inspiration for your products come from your kakuhu and stuff?
From home. So like a lot of people say, oh, where do you get your style from? And this is how we've always dressed, me, my mum, my whānau. And if you go home to the coast, to the East Coast, we dress a lot the same, and so that's where the inspiration for my kakuhu have come. Yeah.
Beautiful. All right, Hohepa, who are your key influences or mentors?
So artist wise, yeah, I'm so three off the top of, there's so many, but three off the top of my head would be like Shane Cotton, was massive influence me. Michael Parekowhai is like the top dog, I suppose, in those. I don't know. And Ralph Hortere was my absolute favourite. And I kind of, a lot of work that especially with kupu and like using like words, and I think I draw from that kind of that spot. And I'm pretty lucky enough to work with one of my mentors as well. So Tame's pretty much business wise as well. The guy's an absolute shark. Yeah, he's got many two hoi fingers and pies, but but his work ethic, I think, is I've not seen someone work like that. It's just he's a 7-year-old man that works harder than anyone I've ever seen, and I don't know how he does it. Like, I literally don't know how he can. So massive. Like mahi wise is to kind of to work like that. I think he just does those massive caudal naps, like always in the realm of rongo when he's still sitting up, and then he just so he's same thing. He can be up till like 3:30, 4 o'clock, and then he'll go to sleep, wake up at 7 or 6 and start his day. And I just like, I find myself like, I'll do that. I'll sleep, I'll wake up at 4 and I'm like, all right, and I might work to like 6, and then I'll like go to sleep and I'll wake up at like 7:30. So I'm real weird like that, and building myself to kind of be like, to work kind of like that. I work better at those times. It's real shit, but the best stuff comes out.
Decolonised though, eh?
Oh yeah, it's just trying to work at times when Anyway, I'll wrap it on.
When you can, eh? I think all three of those artists, Rakatairi, Tikina Tera Puka Puka Pango, there's a book up there on the wall that I think all three of those artists, Shane Cotton, Michael Parekowhai and Ralph Hortere,
heaps of you guys from Tamaki. Did you get to go see the show?
Toi Toyota,
it was
which
absolutely
is
amazing. I flew up here, and for the last day, got to see it, and I felt robbed.
Beautiful, eh?
I only spent a few hours, and I was like running around, like. But you could have spent like a weekend there. It was have a look at that book. That book's actually pretty stunning.
Yeah. Are you in there? Not yet, eh? Next time.
They wouldn't do that.
Next time.
They'd never put me in. Fuck no. No. But yeah, some of the pieces in there, heaps of my mates are in that, And yeah, it was really cool to go and see it. Hopefully they do it again. Did anyone see it here? Oh, you did? Oh, awesome.
We went through. It was beautiful. There's a whole Auckland Art Gallery, so it was big. It was every floor, every area. It was beautiful. One of my key mentors, influences as a young creative growing up in Rotorua, I grew up in Rotorua as well, is in there Robin Kahukua. And I remember as a young wahine Māori there, you did not see or hear about wahine at all, anywhere, unless it was at home or at the marae or something, but, you know, just in school and every day. But Robin Kahukua was the one as an artist that was depicting wahine atua and just wahine forms and stuff like that. And I used to just like scroll through her book time and time and time again, that book Wahine Toa. And so for the first time ever, I saw that Hene Titama painting that she did like right there in front of me. I didn't realise how big it was, and it was still just as stunning, like all those years later from when I was at school. I'm looking at it, wishing I could draw like her. When you see it in your mind, it doesn't come out your hand. You're like, oh, shame. But yeah, it's a beautiful exhibition and a beautiful book. Yeah. All right, that's all questions from me. Partai time. Who's going to go first? And what we will do, we might get a little runner. Lux, if you could do this. Just so we can record it, if you can ask your question into the microphone. Who's first? He's trying to be polite and give someone else a turn. I can see his arm.
I was trying not to ask a question first, but thank you all for your kōrero. Hohepa, a question for you. The transit, I think you kind of touched on it a little bit around the sacrifices you had to take to make that step. I guess it's for all really, but I'm sure we don't want to take up all by my question, is the key steps, fundamental steps that got you to that next platform. Are there any kind of key milestones or things that happened within that time frame that helped get you to the next stage, to the next level?
I just looked at Mia then. We couldn't have picked a worse time to make that decision. Like literally, we were, I wasn't pregnant, but Mia was pregnant with our fourth child. We had a 2-year-old, a 15-year-old, 13, 12, and then another 16-year-old girl with us. So it was like, there's no good time. Me and my mates have this thing whenever we would go surf, we call it the fuck it attitude. And it got made up because we'd turn up and a spot would be massive and we'd all look at each other, and I was the biggest ngeru out of all of them, and I hated it, and they'd be like, oh well, fuck it, and we'd all have to get changed together and we'd go out anyway, and you know, so that was a thing where it was fuck it. It's basically like we're just going to do it no matter what. We were lucky to have a real amazing whānau, and I suppose everyone, well not everyone, but yeah, they were able to support us in doing it. And they're still there, you know, Mum and got the kids today so we could come up here. So we were really fortunate for that. But I just knew it would work. Like, I knew it would work. I just needed time to make it work. Yeah. And even in like the first exhibition I ever did in Aotearoa was like 2014. We came back for an exhibition here, and I just knew it would work. It would just take a bit of time to happen. And then when I got to like that 2016, 15, I was just like, fuck, I need to be doing this full time for it to work faster. And yeah, it took probably about a couple of years after that, and we finally like paid ourselves for the first time ever. And that was only like maybe 3 years ago. We finally were like, oh, right, we can pay ourselves fuck. And yeah, there's never a good time to do it. You just got to be like, fuck it, I'm gonna do it. Yeah, that's just for me though.
Thank you.
You guys want to answer that one too? What were the steps you take to?
Launching your own business, any key steps that you can speak to and propelling you to that level where you can call yourself a business and make that the money.
We got some more pate? Surely. Cool. Oh, I know.
Kia ora whānau, ko Leon Aho. My question is kind of around that question, and it's, is it important to have your whānau and your people around you support you to, obviously, like for me, that's a big thing, but yeah, how is that for you? I suppose for anybody up here, who are those people? And yeah, does that, you know, I do know some examples where a family member, he doesn't care what his family thinks and just goes for it. But for me, I'm a little bit more reserved, and I kind of take into account that. But I'm just wondering how you guys have gone about it.
My whānau are my worst critics, but my biggest supporters. Like, they really... sometimes I've cried, like, they don't know I've cried, but I'm like, fuck you guys. But I take that and I throw it away. Like, it depends what it is. If it's sometimes it depends which whānau member it's coming from, to be honest. Not all of them I care what they think. If I think that a lot of them didn't think Waiapu Road was gonna be anything, you know. Some of them joked about it, some of them really supported it, but I think it was up to me, like, do I believe in it, and am I gonna listen to them and not take that step, or am I gonna just stay in the same space? And I took the step, and like, even now my nan's like, what's that dress, you know, like, you know, they don't love everything that I make, but they love me, and I think, I don't know, but that's how my whānau is, and that's how I know them to be, and a lot of the things I take in, but I don't let it stop me from pursuing things unless it's something really serious. But for my Pakihi, like, I'm the one that's been in business for, 10 plus years. And so when they give me business advice, but then none of them have businesses, I'm just like, but yeah, they're my biggest critics, but my biggest supporters. So yeah, that's me.
Yeah, I'm pretty similar, whereas I don't really go to them for business advice, but I definitely lean into them for just support, because obviously, like, we have a young whānau, so there's been times where my parents have stepped in and they've, babysat the tamariki for a weekend just to give us a break. One last summer, my mum came over for a whole day and just packed orders for me. She did a terrible job, but it was so nice, like, just her heart to help. And it doesn't mean, like Jonique said, they don't have to love your products, but if they support you just as a whānau member, they'll still be there for you and they'll help out where they can. And I think it's really, you don't have to have that support, but it makes it so much easier. So yeah, it's believing in yourself, and not expecting your whānau to love everything that you do or necessarily even think you'll be successful. But just knowing that they've got your back is huge, like, just for a confidence boost. Yeah.
Yeah, whānau's awesome. We've actually gone the other way, and we've kind of just started a printing business. And the old man is now taking care of that. So now we're dealing with the other side of it, is that we're like having these like, nah bro, this is how you do it. Like, and he's you know, quite a toe tangata, like real toe, quite like yourself, like you just said, you're not, you know. So when it comes to business and like, you know, I'm real blunt and probably a bit more ruthless than Mia is. But Mia can be ruthless as well. But, you know, with printing stuff, you know, guys trying to take my old man for a ride. And, yeah, we had to step in and be like, look, motherfucker, we know that this costs this much. This is what we're paying. That's it. And it saved my old man $2,000. Like little things like that. Just for buying stuff that we needed to print. So, yeah, we're getting into that. And they're taking over the printing side. That they've already started printing for us. So now we're like working with whānau, which might be not a great idea. But I think once they sort it out, they take us out of the picture, and we just send them an order, and we just get to talk on Sundays for dinner. But yeah, they're amazing, our whānau.
Next partai, Jazz over here. Ka pai, Lux.
Kia ora, tuku ahi ingoa. I'm in my first year of existing, and when I came out, I was with a lot of people, like we all had like 300 followers, but now I've kind of gone up and I've hit like quite a bit. And I've found that some of my friends will only want to hang out with me if I'll say I'll do a workshop with them. And then when I say no, it can turn into quite a dark situation. And I personally take my friendships and losing friendships really hard. And my partner's like, you need to let it go, you're being toxic. And I'm like, it's just hard. How do you deal with losing friendships when they can't accept your success? I think is the question.
I think it's not losing friendships if they're not happy for you. They've lost you. I feel like if your friends can't be happy for your successes, then they're not real friends. But I also understand that's hard and that's mamai. But I'm much like your partner. Like my husband we all take our friendship seriously, but I always cheer for my friends or just anyone in general, and I'm always happy for their successes, but I don't want to only hang out with them because of what they can do for me. Do you know? Like it's got to be...
Yeah, it really hurt me when it all happened, and I was like, you dropped me because I wouldn't do a wānanga with you because I have more followers, and it just hurt a lot.
That's mamai. But I think, I think that as you grow, you'll realise not everyone's coming, but you have to be willing to continue your kaupapa and know that even though you might lose some people, you're also going to gain a lot of people that are on the same wavelength as you. Well, that's my experience anyway, and I hope it works out for you.
I think to reflect personally a bit of a journey on that. Through lockdown for me, I felt like being in Tamaki through all those bloody lockdowns, and I actually live on my own, so it was pretty fortifying to have to go through that. And it felt like for me, it made me think a lot about what was important. I think for a lot of people actually, and I came into I remember last year feeling like every year I try and think of or understand a bit of a theme of what I feel is going on for me personally and for our business. And I felt like last year it was just this thing of transformation. And this year I feel like it's happened, or I'm now managing the post-transformation, if that makes sense to some degree. And part of that transformation that I've seen that I've gone through was me realigning who I allow into my sphere, whose energy I will brush up against, and who... because there's so many things, especially as business owners, that you do that can drain you in order to make it successful, that you're not an endless flow of energy, and so you need to protect that. And so I found that there were quite a few relationships that I'd had in my life for a long time that, not out of anything like bad, a couple of things that made me realise I don't think this is serving me very well, and I don't think I have the energy to invest. I'm just going to let that go now. And there's quite a few areas in my life where I just cut things out, and this has all been recently in this past 6 months. And it's hard. I felt like there was a mourning, like a grieving process that you go through, because it's the end of something that you treasured and something that you held dear to you. But when you understand it's not going to serve me and my purpose and my kaupapa moving into the future, almost make your peace with it and let it go. Don't hold any animosity towards it. If there needs to be forgiveness, forgive, because unforgiveness only ever hurts you, not them. And so I think that it's been encouraging for me now, because I feel so much lighter. I feel like I feel more empowered to say no to the things that just are going to suck me dry. And I think the more, like you said, the more influence you have, the more people will demand of you, and the more that you just feel constantly pulled at and pick at. Can I pick your brains? I'll buy you a coffee. And I'm like, oh hell, I've got no brains left to pick. But you get more empowered to then just be like, no. And I do, even just this little bit of time spending with you, Kare, and what I've seen in the way you run your business, your boundaries, and your I don't care, this is how it is. I mean, I want some more of that, and I feel like being empowered in that and knowing your value and making that call for you, that's where you got to get to. You got to have thick skin in this game, man. You have to. So ka kite to those not your mates. You don't need them, Kare. Yeah. Any other pata? I feel like Inez had one burning, eh, Kare? Your pata you're going to ask. Here comes the mic. 5, 4, 3. Thank you.
Yeah. I was going to ask something techie like that, but
I
no.
think you're all on Shopify, eh? Shopify. Yep, Shopify is right, yeah. All of us.
What's something we can do better? Shopify can do better for you.
You could make it free. Nah, kidding. Nah. I'm actually pretty new to Shopify. I was actually with Squarespace, which it worked for a beginner, but it wasn't aimed towards e-commerce. Like, it wasn't built specifically for e-commerce websites. So I made the shift a year ago. Best decision. Thank you. Yeah, but in terms of doing something better, I don't know. You guys have got it pretty down. I think it's more me having to learn how to use all the tools, to be honest. So if you can make it more obvious of what we could get better at. I know I've actually read a few blog posts and stuff that I found really helpful on Shopify. But I love that when I shifted to Shopify, the amount of data that I had access to compared to what I had was just really insightful. But there's still so much I need to learn. So I don't know, more ways for us to school up on that stuff, because I know there's heaps to dip into.
Can Shopify do better other than free subs?
I'm real visual, and that's real. When you come into Shopify's back end, it's really wordy. So that's one of the things that I was on Big Cartel for years, and that was one thing that I felt was easier on that than it was to Shopify, was that everything was visual. It was like, here's your photo, put your photo here, there's your price. That, it was really easy to use that way. We have a guy, my mate, that does our Shopify stuff now, because we just had a drop the other day of our new collection. You should go and check it out.
www.
Anyways,
You shall sell it on Cornet.
Just get that one in there, and but he's in the leading up to it. You're like, fuck, how's this going to go? But then when it went and I've got someone on hand that I'm like, bro, that's just about run out. You have to top that up. Like, and, you know, those little things, like in the moment, we had a bit of a thing, we're like, fuck, these have actually sold, or like, and then we'd have to go back and like, how many have we got in stock? And we're like, oh, fuck, put another 30 on now. Like, so that was like a big night for us. You know, we're up like, just look, it is creepy, eh? What you can see. It's like really, it's not, yeah, but you work for Shopify and you said it's creepy. They're creeps, man. But what you can see is like, you know, where they're all coming from, when they're in the, when they're actually in the, what they're looking at, like where they are in the shop. It's actually quite, yeah. And we sit there and watch it, and then you can actually go, holy fuck, like we were actually like, and then, you know, we're racing to AS Colour to see how much more is in that, so we could order it, because we, you know, we got so much stock, but we didn't. Yeah, that's the cool thing about it. That it is that creepy, and you can see what's happening, and you can see it live happening in front of you. Yeah, so it's you're just sitting at the like, yeah, I turn my notifications off, because yeah, but that's the only thing visual, more visual kind of, for especially for creatives. They're like, what, you know, we can't read all that. We can't read.
And
no.
Graphs about as visual as they could get, eh? Mean. All right, well, just to wrap us up, we'll give just, I guess, one last opportunity for each of our panel members. Like, I guess just some closing comments, and what advice would you have for the fellow business owners in the room here?
Just do it. Do it. Don't be scared, because I feel like taking the risk to start a business is the hardest step. Especially if it's something that you're passionate about, just take the step. Because if you don't, you're never going to know how it's going to go. And know that it's not going to be easy. And you are going to make mistakes, but it's all in the building of your story. So don't give up, and just take the step.
That's beautiful.
This is going to sound cheesy, because it is, but honestly, like, believe in yourself. But that, like what Hori was saying, like he said, he's like, I just knew it was going to work. And it was same for me, even though all I had was, I'm just going to start with greeting cards, which is pathetic, let's be honest. I was like, nah, this is going to go somewhere, and I believe in that, and I'm going to make that happen. So believing in yourself, but not expecting overnight results, because that hardly ever happens. So being prepared to put in the mahi, because it takes mahi.
That's beautiful. Eh? When we launched Kāori Māori, we had a little friendly bet between myself and Aroha and Amanda, who manages Kone for us in Mel, around like, and Aroha was like, we're going to sell out in the pre-sale. Yeah. So she's still learning. Yeah, she's believing in herself, right? She's like, we're going to sell out in the pre-sale. And we were like, no, we're going to sell out in the first week. But we all had these different bets, and then
I had to pay for lunch.
Unfortunately, we didn't sell out in the pre-sale. It took Aroha about 6 months to pay up and take us for lunch. But yeah, I do love your optimism, Maimoa. It's inspiring. Last words of wisdom, Hohepa.
Old Yoda here. What was the fun again? Yeah, get ready to be tired. Yeah, and I think the biggest thing is, once you start, is like you guys have said about finding that balance. You ain't gonna find that balance. These guys have somehow found it. Me and Mia still have not fucking found that balance. I'm like, yeah, I'm in it because I love it. So yeah, I'm constantly wanting to keep creating and keep going. And I do burn myself out. But yeah, it's hard fucking mahi. It is. It's but if you love it and you're fucking on it, it'll work because you're just I don't want to sound like that too, like just keep trucking.
You're really showing your age today, corn. Just keep trucking. Love
but
that.
yeah. All right. I'll leave it with trucking.
It's hard, mahi. I know for me balance is hard. Balance is so hard. But something that I probably look to more is like more like rhythm and seasons, and understanding seasons and how they change, understanding your rhythm and how you work, and knowing that the balance might not be always having everything equal, but the flow between what needs to be done now, or what stage you're in now, what you need to do as a startup business is different to when you're 10 years in and you got 100 things going. There's looking for the signs and looking for the seasons and reading that, and I think for me that gives me the comfort to not feel like, oh shit, I'm way out of whack here. I also think about, you're climbing a maunga. Building a business is like climbing a maunga, like it's just uphill all the time. But in understanding that, that the uphill part is where you sweat, where you want to give up, where your mental state is challenged, and it's not till you reach the peak that you finally can, get the reward. And so no, see all the rest of them, but no maunga is an easy walk in the park, and that when you're taking it on. And so if you understand those seasons and those moments and what each part needs, and make sure you got your backpack with all your supplies in it, and you're going to be all right. You'll get there in the end. So yeah, awesome. What an awesome afternoon, eh? But it's lovely to have you all here. We're gonna wrap it up there. In a few minutes, the door's gonna open downstairs for our